Welcome back to another episode of In the End. There's always a Disney guy. Before we get into today's episode, make sure you go to DisneyGuide.com. Make sure you go to subscribe to my blog and my YouTube channel, Instagram, and Facebook. It is all on the site now. It's been updated. If you just scroll down a little bit, but yeah, and let's get into today's episodes. Today we're going to be talking about some trending headlines that I saw on under the Google knowledge banner of the show. And it was about Grey's Anatomy Meredith with season 17 and how her coma works. So I've explained this I think a couple of times about how her coma works, and it all comes down to the brain, obviously. The brain is a powerful, oh my gosh, it is powerful powerful a powerful thing when it comes to the unconscious mind. When a person is unconscious, and actually, now that I think about it, because there was this comment that really sparked my attention under TV promos for Grey's Anatomy. But let me explain what it was. So the person explained two things. They explained the how the conscious how the subconscious mind works after when the conscious mind isn't conscious. So the conscious mind is when you're awake, when you're talking, you're doing likely things. Now, when you're unconscious, meaning that you have no aware of what's going on in the real world, and you're just basically laying in a bed like for Meredith, and the difference between being asleep and unconscious means even if you scream at a person, you hit them or they won't wake up. Vice versa against a person that is asleep, they will wake up. They're So that's the difference between sleep and unconscious. Now, when it comes down to the difference between unconscious and subconscious, the subconscious kicks in when the unconscious is active. So when a person's subconscious kicks in, it's basically a place. It's a type of place that is formed based off your memories. In Meredith's case, I guess since she likes the beach, her subconscious is literally the beach, which is why while she's unconscious, that's when she's in her subconscious, she's at the beach, because that's how she formed her subconscious to be. So how the subconscious works is basically it leads the body when it's unconscious. So it's basically that person's doing while they're unconscious decision. In their subconscious, it's that decision that they make while they're in their subconscious. And I know this may be difficult, but let me give you some examples. So you remember when DeLuca showed up in Meredith's subconscious, you remember how he was in the real world, he was on the table, he was in surgery. His body was in surgery, and he had a little incident with the kidnapper lady, and while he was on that table unconscious, he was in his subconscious mind with Meredith, and while they were talking, yada yada yada, we get to the part where Meredith says, "I'll miss you," right? And DeLuca says, "You'll be okay, Meredith," and all of that. And then DeLuca made the decision to be with his mom in his subconscious. Now, because he made that decision to be with his mom and to stay with her, there's obviously going to be a consequence in the real world when you're in obviously the real world. Because he chose to be with his mom in his subconscious, he made that decision to basically die. Because if you choose to be with your mom, just like if Meredith would have chose to stay with Derek and to be with Derek and go with Derek, she would have died in the real world, if you get what I'm saying here. So I know it may be a confusing thing to understand, and that's why the subconscious and the unconscious, or the conscious mind, work simultaneously amazing together. Because one one or the other kicks in after one is not if one is not acting. If the conscious mind isn't working, that's when the subconscious mind kicks in, because the subconscious mind is like the backup generator to the brain. It's the part of the brain where it forms a place that, even though you're not in control of your literal body, you do have control over whether you want to live or die. If you choose to live, that means you want to fight it out. You want to stay alive. You want to let the doctors continue to work on you to bring you back to being conscious, or you have the decision in your subconscious mind to die. It's all really up to you. That's why in Grey's Anatomy, Derek kept saying the sand isn't real, because it literally isn't real. It's all in her mind. It's her subconscious. It's all up to her. That's what that's what that means. And I know people don't really understand how the coma works. Now, obviously, the coma basically happens based off the COVID symptoms. If the brain isn't conscious enough, because one thing that COVID does is it affects the brain the most. It gets the body unconscious so that way it can attack it at its most vulnerable. So that's the really main goal of COVID. It attacks the brain. And when the brain gets too weak, that's when it decides to go unconscious. Now, we don't know how COVID will drift in and out. It's all based off COVID. So if COVID was to even though she woke up, she might go right back out, which she did in episode 11. When she went back out, it's most likely due to COVID. And when she does go back out, when her brain goes back unconscious, that's when her subconscious mind kicks in, which most likely means most likely we probably might see her on the beach again. Now, when I saw the episode 11 promo, I was kind of freaking out the way Bailey was freaking out, because I was wondering, why was she freaking out? I didn't really understand that part, and I'm really hoping, I don't know if you remember that plot line that I told you that could happen, because, Christian Vernoff could say there's a possibility that season 17 could be the series finale. That episode 12 promo wasn't really looking so good. So, I mean, I know when we see those type of reactions, most likely someone's going to die. And I don't know about you, but I'm just getting that feeling right now. I'm really getting that feeling, that sense of, someone might most likely be dying. But honestly, we don't really know if that is so. But if it is so, I guess we would have to find out. I guess we will find out. But what I will say is that, like I said, the brain it's a powerful game. It's one of the most powerful organs in the whole body. It's what controls your body essentially, actually. And I know Meredith's coma may be really complicated to understand, but what you have to realize is that COVID is a tricky virus, and it really affects the brain. And it's like when the brain is too affected or too impacted, it will cause that person to go unconscious. And like I said, when someone goes unconscious, that's when their what kicks in? That's when their subconscious kicks in. And your subconscious is basically formed off of your memories. And obviously, I'm guessing Meredith likes the beach a lot, seemingly that her subconscious is the beach. But thank you for listening in to today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe and follow on both Google and Spotify podcasting services. And bye-bye, guys.